hello. Just realised I didn't grab my microphone. Bear with me a second. There, how does that sound? That probably sounds a bit better. Just quickly check how it's doing. That looks alright. So, we find ourselves back at the pillow again. It feels like mere moments ago. It's been a long day at work today. One of my co-workers leaves this week. And, well, clearly they're not planning on doing any work this week, is all I can say to that. So, I had lots of people kind of being me in teams with, I've logged a ticket. Well, that's nice. And? I'll get you a ticket when I get to it, mate. I'll get 5 days. See you later. Don't be clicking your fingers at me, honey. You know. But they all do. Ah! Especially the ones where, well, if only you knew what you were doing. Alright. So, we finished off yesterday. I could have sworn I'd kind of done that. I could have sworn I'd joined the gap at the bottom. Hang on, let's join the gap at the bottom. Yeah, this one. Here we go. I didn't do as I thought. Huh. Interesting. Is this goes there like that? So yes, it's been a long day. It's going to be a long week, I think. It's going to be bad when the week is over. Right. So, now we've sorted that out, we shall put you back on a stick. I was very conscious yesterday that at the end of my stream, well, everybody was turning up just as I was kind of done. And that seems to be a common theme I've noticed this, is that I can stream for 1 hour, 3 hours, 6 hours, but whenever I'm kind of done, people start showing up. And I don't know quite how to get past that. Because I don't like to disappear when, you know, finally everyone's suddenly sort of coming along and saying, oh, what's she doing? But at the same time, usually by the time I got to the end of my stream, I really do need a nap. And the idea of hanging on a bit more really doesn't feel like something I'm capable of. So let's grab you two. Right down this side. And seal in our raised ground. That's right. Yeah, another brain fart. Doing well, 2 brain farts. I've only done about 6 dishes. still quite a lot of lace. Well, about 1,152 people, I think it was. Somewhere around there. The number my brain has in mind. Joined in and did International Lace Day yesterday. And disappointingly, it's kind of being weaponised in terms of, you know, make lace not walk, you know, kind of rubbish. And it's kind of like, I don't disagree in some respects, because I really don't. I have quite strong views against wool myself. However, I thought it was about making lace, you know. So I remember feeling slightly disparaged with taking part, because, as I said, over the last couple of days, it's funny how Google says that it's a different day. Says it's at the end of September, and I'm wondering if this was not just being used as a political stunt, which would be somewhat disappointing if that's the case. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's put you back on the stick for me. Put you over there for a minute. Take you over here. Sort out some of this. My finger, I don't know whether I've got some form of splinter. You know when I had that bit where I'd rubbed it and made a blister? Still feels slightly weird. And not as in, well, you took off half the skin on top of it. It's kind of out of sync with the rest of your finger. Kind of weird. I'm talking, doesn't feel like there's something in it, but it also doesn't feel right. I don't know quite how to explain it. I'm not very good at feelings. Because it's not sensitive specifically, but it is like, I guess it feels a little bit like it's been burnt. That's probably a good explanation. It's a bit like there's been a bit of a burn, and although it doesn't hurt anymore, it's got that kind of half numb, half sore, half just messed with feeling, you know? In that it's not right, but it's not wrong either, you know? Just trying to even out a little bit of the bobbin lengths a little. Get you so that we can add you to the funny aid, because we need 1, 2, 3 you. So once again, it's the moment I've started streaming, it's getting warmer. I have been thinking, actually. Now, I keep telling everyone I'm not a shawl person, because I'm really not. But at the same time, I keep sitting here thinking about making a lace shawl. But the problem is with the onset of potential curtain strips, do I really need to be starting? Do I really need that in my life? To have a second project on the go that's huge? Because part of me would think probably not. You know, there are. But then, as you know, it's not like I really need anything else from lace. I don't. Finding something that I might actually use that I could make is a challenge. Hence the neck curtain. Having a neck curtain, or many in fact, could be an option. And I think one of the advantages of if I do the strip one first, obviously, and you notice I said first then, that was technically a slip of the tongue, but also recognition of practical life hereafter, in that if I plan on making one, and once I've got the join, you know, now I know how to join them arguably fairly invisibly, I can do many other kind of patterny things and make strips of various shapes and sizes and join them together, so that could be a thing. Had some strange contact from someone who contacted me from a Discord server, and it's kind of like, and they're like, can I run something by you? Well, as I don't normally really say anything on that Discord channel, don't know what you think you're going to ask me, but I'm guessing you're a bot. My first reaction is that you're an arse, so you're a bot. Because it's not like, you know, it's not like it's a programming thing that I'm active on and that I've talked a lot and they've kind of, oh well, you know, didn't want to ask because I was a bit embarrassed, but no, this is a streaming guy who streams games. And well, why is it everything, you get an app for your phone and it clicks like do this, right? Oh well, sir, go here and to report this, and it takes you to a website that then makes you log in again that says click here to open app, takes you back, and of course it isn't fucking. Because all I can do is report the user profile. Let me do it from... Oh, I shouldn't have to do it from there. Hang on. Yeah, I can't... Use the app, except that it's shit. And I can't view friends to get rid of them either. It's a bit like the spam bots you get here. It feels like they, you know, we know they only come to my channel to die, but you're kind of left going, well, how is this ever going to work out for you? How does this ever actually work out for you? Because this one was, hey, can I ask you something? Depends what it is. Oh, do you want to buy loads of artwork? And then sends me kind of like semi-pornographic pictures. And you're like, first of all, my pictures of a dog. I drew myself. What in the name of mercy made you think that I'm going to want to pay for you to kind of draw pictures, even, well, to be honest, they're a bot, but, you know, on behalf of someone to draw pictures. Just fuck off. Just I hate any form of unsolicited sales. Absolutely. Especially those that come to your door. People who knock on your door to sell shit you never asked for or never wanted. Just... there should be a circle of hell just for them, you know? If you can't ask the question in public, why not? Oh wait, because it's spam, that's why not. Let's really be honest about it. That's why you can't. I mean, don't get me wrong, I would love an intro video, but I don't have the kind of content that goes towards making an intro video easily. It's because, you know, it's just not that kind of stream, really. Other than seeing the various bobbins and pillows that I've got and used on stream at some point, I mean, the many ramblings of the deranged lunatic that is myself, you know, we have. And this doesn't look overly happy. In fact, looks distinctly not happy. Of course. Now I've sourced. Hello. I'm okay, thank you. How are you? Why does this not look right? That's because it's not you. That's why. That's why it doesn't look like. Welcome to the channel. Now we do. Now this will look better. Okay, so there. That looks a bit better. You two are getting a bit long. Let's sort you out a little bit. I do mutter a lot while I do this. I need a pin. There's a pin. I saw that. You got longer. Bad, Bobby. That looks better. That looks more like what I would meant it to do. So if you have any questions, just ask. That's more than happy to try and answer questions. Can't answer questions and count though, apparently. That's the only thing I will say. You'd be pretty poor at doing that. By the way, can you hear me? I suppose that's the question of the day. Can you hear me? Because, well, there is always the chance that you cannot. That's not what I wanted to do. Oh, thank you very much. I'm an idiot. Well done. Stupidity reigns high. It's been a long day. It has been a long day. And if people don't tell me, because I'm looking at this, my little 2-inch window of what's going out on the stream is kind of over there and not over here. So being over there, and literally it's kind of about, I don't know, half a metre off the end of my finger, I don't tend to notice because I'm busy doing the do, you know? Which is why, when you speak to me, I have a little thing in my ear roll that tells me so-and-so said this. So that I can keep looking at this and paying attention to what I'm doing, rather than looking up and realising that half an hour ago somebody said something and I didn't notice. So, thank you very much. I do appreciate it when people tell me, because, well, I'd have happily gone on for hours not noticing, and I do need people to tell me that I'm stupid, so, because I was fiddling with the sound settings yesterday slightly, because one of the things that I have noticed an awful lot of streamers do, which I obviously don't do, is they play, let's call it nice music, while they stream. And I wanted to do this, I really do. I want to play a little bit more interesting music than the music you listen to. Now, there's nothing wrong with the music you're listening to, but, you know, it is somewhat boring, repetitive, the same every time. Not that that's always a problem, but, you know, a little variety would be nice. We've been doing this for a few months now. You know, if you don't know it all off by heart by now, I'm kind of disappointed. However, with that in mind, hey, I have been trying the whole, can I play one music but record another? I see a loop. Oh, shame. Oh. I really had thought I'd done better than that. You can't really see it because it's back here, and my Zoom still isn't working because the people who write I have a camera, I have Are you the person who just contacted me on Discord? Anyway, ignoring that, there is a little loop just here on the end of my pin. Little loop of string. Oh well, screw that up. Certainly not going back that far to fix it. So Mickey gets me, how are you? Let's have a conversation with someone who'll talk to me. That'll be nice. So yes. How are you? Waking up, that is. Well, while it's better than the alternative, which of course is to be not waking up, it is not always a joy to behold, that's for sure. For all of our fingers and toes have not reported in, you know. My body's got into a terrible routine recently, which that it doesn't want to, it doesn't really want to join in with anything. And at 2:30 in the morning, it's wide awake and it wants, you know, it's quite happy to be doing stuff at 2:30 in the morning. But I've got work at 7, and it's kind of sitting there going, do, read all the things, listen to all the things, watch all the things. And then, of course, come the morning, doesn't want none of that. Come the morning, it's just not in the mood. It's been a long day. It's been a long day. Is that actual stew or just kind of the proverbial stew? What on earth do you need spoons for a stew? Chop, 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 chuck in pot, leave really long time. Works really well. And now you've got me wishing I'd made a stew. Thanks for that. Yeah, you need to understand that my mother couldn't boil water without making it go wonky. My mother had a gift in the kitchen that no one wanted to receive. She could make anything inedible, right? And she used to suck all the nutrients out of it. I mean, my ex-husband would tell you how I ever managed to survive childhood with my mother's cooking is a miracle. Because, you know. Anyway, there's a reason why I'm fatter today than I was as a child. And part of that is because, well, I've discovered that food can taste of food. And it's rather enjoyable. Because nothing my mother cooked ever tasted of anything. Everything was kind of one grey colour. And it didn't really matter what it was. It could be a cake, pie, meat, vegetables. They were all kind of grey. And one of the things that I quickly picked up on as I was leaving home, I hadn't left home by the time I worked this out, but as I was kind of in the throes of beginning to try to, was that exactly, you know, well, hello, you know. But it's, you know, Yeah, my mother's cooking was, I mean, some of those people, you know, the ones we're all thinking of, right? You know, the chicken and rice that's frankly one colour, right? It's, my mother could aspire to being that good. Pretty much. Pretty much. I grew up disliking a number of things. Well, not too surprising. I can assure you, if you'd had my mother's, you would understand, right? Now, as an adult, there are still things that I'm traumatised by my mother's cooking for, and will remain so forevermore. Other things I just can't stand. Well, you know, I'm an adult and I'm allowed not to like things. But there are actually a number of things that I would not have touched with a 20-foot barge pole that I actually really like now. Now, part of that, as I found out, my mother, bless her, was capable of cooking, sort of, some things. Now, there are a very limited number of things. And so I need you to take this in the manner of which it was meant. My mother could cook stuffing balls. Now, I don't know if they're a world phenomenon, but we have Paxo stuffing, which is basically stuffing balls, dear. Balls, little round balls. Well, little round balls like this, right? Now, her mother, I will defend her in the sense that her mother had died by the time she was a teenager. So I don't know how much her mother taught her, but certainly she then got passed through boarding school. So I'm not going to blame her entirely, but the fact that it was inedible and she never kind of experimented to make it better kind of said a lot. But she could make stuffing balls, which is you buy packet of Paxo, you heat the kettle, you pour in boiling water, so much water, it gives you the instructions. You then let it sit for like 20 minutes. You roll it into balls. You put them on a greased paper in the oven for 25 minutes, I think it is. It might be 35 minutes. I'd have to go and look. Yeah, I've got some, right? And out come little stuffing balls. Oh, she knew. There was no way she didn't know. As I say, the dog didn't really eat it, so, you know, she knew. And my dad certainly was not backwards in saying how, you know, looking disappointed. And anyway, between my parents, but anyway, I'll explain why that makes more sense in a minute. So my mother, so she could make these stuffing balls because they came out and the outside would be slightly crispy, so a bit like a roast potato. Slightly crispy on the outside, but cooked in the middle. So she could follow those instructions. Great. As it turned out, much later, she could also make banana cake and apple cake. There ends the list of things my mother could make. Now, the banana cake and the apple cake were phenomenal. I don't know quite how she did it, but she found two cakes that were phenomenal. The rest of her stuff was dry, wonky, tasteless, foul, inedible, usually, borderline. I mean, she couldn't even cook potatoes. When I say she couldn't cook potatoes, you got potatoes on the plate, but if you looked at them in too funny, they just kind of into... They were a bit like in the Fantastic Four, where you have Chris Evans as Johnny, and I think it might be the second one, and Mr. Fantastic gets something done to him, so he starts melting. Yeah, basically the potato would just kind of disintegrate into this puddle of mush, right? Everything had bare kind of cohesive, you know, structural integrity. And as a result, Candy tasted of nothing. And as I said, it was all grey. Everything my mother cooked kind of came out this kind of level of grey, right? Potatoes, carrots, yeah, she managed it with carrots. Beetroot even. I mean, Christ alive, she could make beetroot grey, okay? She had skills. And as I say, gifts that no one wanted to receive. And it is horror story time. But because she could do stuffing balls, hang on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I need another one, 7. One thing that she did do was from about the age of 6 onwards, and I need to point that out, from the age of about 6 onwards, I was encouraged to cook. I was encouraged to cook the family Sunday lunch. So it was roast, so to be fair, you know, grab thing, wipe, smear, cover, whatever, stick in oven for a number of minutes, hours, whatever, rinse and repeat. And, well, I think originally it started when she went in for a hospital appointment and, hang on, that's not quite right, you need to join you. And so she'd been in hospital for a week. And, you know, my dad couldn't do anything more than beans on toast. And even the neighbours who hated my parents, they didn't hate me, but they hated my parents. I think they felt sorry for me. Had been bringing around food, because clearly, you know. What have you had for tea today, Lizzie? Oh, well, I had beans on toast. Didn't you have that yesterday? Yes, we did. What else have you had? Cheese sandwich? Okay. What else have you had today? No, that's it. Okay, this is not enough for a child, you know. So they kind of felt sad for us and kept bringing around food. But, that's not right either. Yes, it is. It's right, brain farts, more brain farts. I'm doing really well on the brain fart scale today. So yes. I swear I just saw something move on my floor. Am I hallucinating again? I sworn I saw something move. It might have been a fly or a reflection or something. Anyway, when I met kind of like one of my first boyfriends, and they were kind of like, they ate everything, literally everything, right? And my mum invited them round for dinner, and I warned them that this was not the blessing that you think it is, kind of thing, right? And they said, well, I don't like stuffing. Now, this was about the only, you know, bear in mind, it's one of the 3 things my mother could do. I'm like, what do you mean you don't like stuffing? It's kind of the best bit. Oh, no. Anyway, every time we had roast chicken and stuff, we did not have stuffing, right? I went up to meet his parents. And knowing that I liked stuffing, his mother made me stuffing, and I found out exactly why he did not like stuffing. Holy shit. She was the stuffing that my mother was to the rest of the cooking world. As I said, with Paxo, you get a packet. It's like making instant mashed potato, right? Yeah. Bear in mind, stuffing at this point was one of my most delighted things, because it was one of the few things my mother could do. She couldn't even do sausages and chips in the grill, right? Well, here's how you fuck up stuffing, right? So, packet stuffing is dried ingredients. You add, you know, 1/4 pint of hot water to it, let it rest a bit. Do then what you will. So you can make a log out of it, you can shove it in your bird, you can do whatever, right? Preferably you make it from sausage meat and onions, but if you're going with the packet variety, this is what you do. Well, basically shit you shove in your chicken. I think that's the best definition of stuffing. Stuff you stuff in your chicken. But, hang on. Let me see if I can go find it. Hang on, I think I know where it is. I'm pretty sure I've got some. Hang on. We're going to do the stew thing. So, couldn't find the packet that I was thinking of anyway, so let me find you Paxo stuffing. That sounds kind of similar, right? So Paxo is basically breadcrumbs, herbs, you know, onion flavouring, etc. But basically it's a herby something. Now, the more happy amongst us get sausage meat, onions, spices, squish it all up, shove it in. But bread stuffing kind of thing is Paxo, which of course happens to be the name of my car. But Paxo is an exceptionally commonly very household name here, right? And literally you pour some water in it and you let it kind of absorb a bit, and then you, as I say, you can make a log out of it, make a loaf out of it, make balls out of it, shove it in your chicken, whatever fills your fancy, right? The only conclusion I could draw was that his mother took cold water, not hot water, poured the packet in, swirled it around and chucked it over the food. So there was basically water with kind of crunchy, dried up bits in it. It looked more like cat puke, frankly. It was... And then I understood exactly why he didn't like it, because it tasted vile. She must have put twice the amount of water to what she should have done. She clearly didn't use hot water. And if she did, it didn't sit in there very long because it hadn't kind of... Basically, it's supposed to congeal. And it... Not 100%, but you can shape it and, you know, you can make bowls out of it if you wanted to. It's kind of got a... I mean, it's damp to the touch before cooking. But first of all, you are supposed to cook it. She had not. Secondly, you know, it was this kind of watery gravy consistency of cat puke. And I kind of looked at him and he looked at me, and I duly ate it because she cooked it. And I took him aside later and I went, when we get home, I will show you what that's supposed to taste like. And I made it following the instructions. He went, I see. But we are, a lot of our food things are caused by how our parents cook things. So you get a lot of people, oh, I don't like this. Now, I will agree that, you know, many things are not to everyone's taste. But unless you have tried it, not the way your parents cooked it, because there are different ways of cooking it. Now, perhaps, to be honest, I'd probably rather eat the cat puke. Seriously, I'd probably eat the cat puke first. It was vile. It has lived in my memory for, I'd have been what, 18? And I remember that like it was yesterday. I mean, though she was a really nice lady, do not get me wrong, I loved his family, but I very much understood never accept stuffing from his mother. I mean, she could cook, she really could, but clearly not stuffing. I think probably, to be fair, the only thing she couldn't cook were the same things my mother did. Well, exactly. Not, you know, you can't be great at everything. Well, it would a little. But yeah, it was that kind of, oh my good God, how did... Now, I will tell you a story of me and my mother cooking. I can't remember why, but there was something like I had to make bread. I don't know whether this was a whim that we had, and we just decided to, or it was some kind of school shit, or whatever. Anyway, we made bread. And we decided to make bread rolls. Because, you know, they're quite practical for packed lunches and stuff. And both my dad and I used to take packed lunches with us every day, so bread rolls it was. If I tell you now that a bread roll that was probably about this in size, so maybe that tall, so almost the size of a scone, right? Couldn't eat more than one. Reason? My mother misread the yeast instructions. That's all I can say to that. Is that these things were good for warfare. These things were like, you know, cannonballs. You only needed one. And people, you know, opening your lunch, you'd have like one. And people would look at it and go, so all you've got? And you go, oh dear God, I'm not going to eat all of that in one go. And I can eat well, right? And they'd look at me kind of like, what do you mean you can't eat all of that in one go? No, seriously, one mouthful and you're struggling. How can that be? You just don't understand, dude. Pretty much. Frankly, if you went mining and got, you know, kind of iron ore, it would have been softer than these bread rolls. It was... This was my second worst culinary disaster. That's not true. Third, there were two other things that went more horribly wrong. One was, we all know that pork with applesauce is a glory to behold. Do not, and I cannot express this beyond all manner of God more, do not ever try cooking it in apple juice. Now, you'd think the apple would infuse a bit, it would be great. No, it's like doing it in pea. You might as well pee on it. It will taste and smell like pea. And that was disgusting. That was the worst one I ever did. The next one, I had decided to reward myself for something. To be honest, the what has long since been forgotten. But I'd done something, I was living on my own, and I decided to reward myself. And so I had bought a Peking duck kit from the food store. Now, you basically have to cook the damn thing for like 4 hours and shred it and, you know, do all of that. But I had bought this and I put it on. I followed the instructions. I spent the rest of the night throwing up because it gave me food poisoning. But other than that, I have yet to have a culinary failure of any epic proportion. Whereas my mother produced them on a, you know, by the meal process, you know. No, I'm not going to say I'm proud of all the things that I've done, but I've made many things by working it out in my head. Jesus, why is it so warm in here? It was cooler earlier. But yeah, I've worked out how to make naan breads, I guessed, and I was right. I made Cornish pasties. Proper Cornish pasties. None of this Ginster's bollocks. Proper Cornish pasties with short crust pastry and, you know, actual food in the middle. They were glorious. And I've made stew. Now, my mother, as you might imagine, could not make stew. For grey, tasteless mush is not the aim of the game. Well, with no real experience of what stew should be like, I set about making stew. I bought some meat, I bought some veg, I chopped, I That's good. Take care, Felicity. But yeah, I definitely love a good bit of stew, because I like my stews, that's for sure. So does my ex-husband. To the point, if I said I was making a stew, his first answer is, where's mine? Still, now. How is it so hot? How is it so hot? Oh dear people, it is 50,000 degrees in here, it seems. Let's go down this way. I can feel the heat burning out of my soul. I think we established that Emma from earlier is a spam bot. Sounds exactly like how I do my stews. One thing I will say, Mika Ketsme, is pressure cooker. Pressure cooker is a brilliant way to make stew. Pressure cookers are a phenomenal way to make stew. And I am the owner of an Instant Pot, which frankly is a glorious machine. Well, basically it's a slightly fancy pressure cooker, but absolutely brilliant for stews. Does really good rice and various vegetables and, you know, all of that, but it's awesome for stews because you can sear the meat in it and you know, and then noodles are nice. Noodles are nice. How can it be? As a general rule here in England, we put a buttload of potatoes in our stew so that the whole thing is in one piece. But, like everything, variants on a theme also work. And so rice and pasta and, well, basically use up what you want is the short answer. Don't need you for it. checking everybody's where they should be. No, you don't. You can still see that that's the one that I did with the wood dye, not the Sharpie. Still shows up. Oh, I've got joys tomorrow. Not looking forward to work, and it's only 8 o'clock at night and I'm already dreading this time tomorrow, so it's not a great sign, is it? I've always had struggles with people that you can only turn deliberately stupid. I.e., 1 add 1 is 2, right? Okay. 2 add 2 is 4. Okay. Do you understand? Yes. They walk off. I don't get it. She didn't explain it to me. Well, I asked you if you understood and you said yes. If you'd said no, I would maybe have gone into more detail. I gave you opportunity. Or that you tell them how to do it once. You know, on the 63rd time, you're getting a bit narked with it now. And it's kind of like, what exactly don't you understand? Well, any of it. It can't be literally any of it, because, you know, I'm speaking to you in your, you know, in your native tongue, darling. What exactly don't you get? And it'll be things like, take the elastic, put it through the slits, and so that it goes around. I don't understand. What don't you get? So I've always struggled with this, because when given the opportunity to say you did not understand, that it did not mean to you, or that you didn't see why it was that, or you had questions, when asked, you know, do you have questions? Do you understand? Does this make sense to you? If you reply yes and you lie, it's your own fault. I'm sorry, it is your own fault. So I've always had problems with this. And, well, that's what I've got ahead of me tomorrow morning. So, yeah, I'm allowed to have a little bit of the anti-looking forward to work. Hence I refer to them as the deliberately stupid, because you were asked. In a group environment, I get it. In a one-to-one environment, I don't get it. If you are asked directly between, you know, you and person directly showing you something, so someone who sat with you to show you, I know, how to do this. Pick this bobbin up, put it here. Does that make sense? No. Or what about it don't you understand? What specifically? If you're not prepared to say why or what it is. Now, obviously, I do appreciate that if, depending on the subject matter, obviously, sometimes it is, I don't understand how this makes that, or why we do it that way. But if you, and sometimes, you know, when it doesn't make sense, it's hard to, I do appreciate it can be hard to articulate that it's not making sense because you haven't got their terminology to hand it back to them and say, it's this bit. So when you're learning something new, maybe you don't know their words for things. And, you know, until you have their words for things, because they're so used to people only working with people who know all the right words for it, that you're sitting there going, well, I know this is wrong. I know I don't understand it, but why can't we explain to you what it is? Because I don't know how you would call it. I don't know how to phrase that to you. But then that's the time to say, I know what I need to say, but I don't have the right words for it. I don't think what I want to say will make sense to you because you have different terminology to things. I mean, as you know, I call these sticks, right? We have squovels, right? If you go to any other lace maker and go, so how do you make a squovel? They'll probably look at you a little bit weird. But then I know you're not lace makers and calling them rose ground doesn't really help you. So squovels, which dictate their shape, that means a bit more and makes sense. And I am the queen of analogies. I can find analogies for everything, right? So there is always another way for me to explain it. There is always other synonyms and analogies and things that I can draw upon, especially if I know you and know something about some of the things that you are used to. That I can then use to draw and make it into maybe more of the kind of words that you would understand. So I do appreciate in a group environment that's difficult, because when you've got, say, 30 to 40 other people and you're going, miss, I still don't get it, you don't need to be stoned later when you've spent an hour going, well, I don't understand how 1 and 1 is 2. Because if everyone else is getting it and you're not, fine. Maybe this is not your best subject, but it's a group environment and you don't want to be the one that makes them spend another hour explaining it while everyone else is, falling asleep. But, I am not a trainer, so I am not in the position where I'm going to be teaching handfuls or more of people. It is always a 1 or 2 people at a time. Because they'll go, well, why is this happening? Well, it's because of this. Does that make sense? Yes. If you've said yes at this point, you have the option to say no. Now, it might be, my answer to you then will be, I'm sorry, but I don't know how else to explain it. Because, I'm not a trainer. It's just, I've not made my profession out of explaining to other people how to do what I do. But at the same time, when I'm teaching someone who supposedly works in IT how to do IT things, I do expect a slightly shared understanding of minimal things. I mean, I often explain my Unix stuff in terms of Windows, because people get that, because most people have used Windows, therefore I can explain it in terms of Windows. Now, they're nothing alike, but, well, other than they are an operating system, but they don't have much commonality, although PowerShell keeps stealing from Unix, by the way. But you do sit there kind of going, I get it. I get that you don't understand. But if I've asked you and you've said, yes, you do, my answer was, personally, as someone who's tried to explain things to some really dumb people in her time, the better answer is, no, I don't get it now. But if you continue on, I'll talk to you I'll ask you about it later when it's more convenient for you and not hold up everybody else. So you're admitting that, you still don't understand, but that now is not the time to be dragging it out. Because it's like the barking dog in the neighbourhood, right? No one wants to listen to Yappy Two Shoes going on over there. Now, Yappy Two Shoes may have plenty to yap about, but we don't need to hear it for 4 hours, right? And it's that kind of thing, is that you don't want to be Yappy Two Shoes in the background. You don't want to be the dog that doesn't shut up, because all you're going to get is people wanting to come around there and put a bucket of water over your head, right? But at the same time, if you say quite boldly, yes, I understand, no one wants to hear you going around saying later that, well, you never explained it, I didn't get it. I had it in a company I worked for once, and this girl was sitting in the office, and although I hadn't been there a huge amount of time, she didn't understand something really quite simple. I think it was percentages, to be honest. It was something like VAT or percentages, which, let's face it, is basically the same shit. And she was sitting in the office, and she was literally kind of all but yelling at the top of her voice how no one had ever explained this to her, and it didn't make any sense. So I quietly walked forward, and I sat there, and I showed her, right, well, this is what this is, this is what it's doing. And, when you click this is what it's doing behind the scenes, blah, 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 blah. She got straight up out of her chair and then went and moaned because I patronised her by explaining how it worked. 2 seconds ago, love, you were bitching so loud that half the county heard that you did not understand this. I explained it to you, and now I'm patronising. How about you go do one, love? Right? You can't have both. Don't be explaining that no one explained it to you, then someone explains it to you, and then you moaned because someone explained it to you. You can't have it both ways, So, for example, in file systems in Unix, there are 3 levels of permissions. That which is applied to the owner, that which is applied to the group that the owner has set on the file, and that which applies to, quote, everybody else, other, right? So, the user who's assigned the file, so let's say you own the file. Let's say I own the file, it's got, and my username is Liz, right? The file will have Liz as the file owner. Let's say I'm in a group called users, because, well, that's really original now, isn't it? And the file's in a group called users. So, if you are also in the group called users, any permissions that I set on the file for group will apply to you because you are in the same group. But it can only have one group, unlike Windows that can have many of everything, right? We have owner or user, owner, group, and other. So UG or O, right? User group or other. So, if you are not the user, or you're not in the group, you are other. It is that simple. Now, you may be in the same groups as the user, but not the group listed on the file, in which case you still count as other, because it's not that group and you are not the user. Seems fairly logical. So today's problem was brought by, when I run this, it says that it hasn't got permission to make the file. Okay. Well, from the error message, you have posted the command that you ran that said run it as user X, and, well, you've said that your user owns it. This particular group, who is not even one of your groups, but this particular group is the group, so, well, no group options will apply because, well, nobody shares that group, so that's kind of pointless. And you've not set any permissions for anybody else, so, yeah. Oh. And they went, okay, but I'm not trying to run it as that user. Well, you are, because the actual error message says when you've installed it, it is trying to initialize, which means it will be running as the user and password that you have just entered as parameters for that install. So it's going to be trying to do it as that. Oh. Bear in mind, this is something I've never seen before in my life, right? But it's very clear, you know. Install some shit, use username and password. Hello, right? You know, it's kind of like, well, what did you think the username and password was for? Especially when it says trying to run it, and it says it can't. Well, why can it not? Well, have you reset the permissions because they tried again? Well, yes. Okay. But you've taken all the group permissions away now. It's not even the same group. Oh, did I? Well, yeah. Look, it's directory listing. It says so. Oh, yeah. So tomorrow I've got to try and work out why when they run it, it's putting their name on it, not the username. Well, it makes the initial folders as their name and then tries to launch it as the username they've specified. Well, the obvious answer, my dear friend, is run it as the user you want. I'm sorry, but yeah, Unix gives you this ability really easy. I mean, so does Windows. You just do run as, but and for those of you who've never used run as, it is a great and glorious thing. But you do need the password, whereas potentially on Unix you can not know the password because you can set up things that allow you to do it so that you don't need the password, or if you're God, you don't need the password anyway. I can pretend to be anybody. For I am God on all my systems. It's called root, but God sounds so much more better. So yes, that's what I've got ahead of me tomorrow. And I imagine that'll be painful because they'll probably come at me before I've really woken up properly and that I've counted all my fingers and toes and that I have enough brain cells to tackle this in a humane manner and not do the... What the fuck? I do find that hard. In hindsight, but not initially, this will make more sense in a minute. I had a conversation with one of my users last week and said to them, because I think it was like Thursday evening or something, or was it late Friday morning? Not today, can we do it on Monday? Yeah. Well, of course, they waited till like 3 o'clock on Monday to actually come round to it, which was slightly annoying because, well, I go home at 4. And anyway, they're kind of like, we need to do this. Can you run this for us? Sort of. You're not supposed to kind of do some of this work for yourself, you know. Yeah, I can do that. You do know there's no settings for this person at all in these files. Oh, well, we sent them to you. Yeah, but it's not on this ticket. You've got like 12 different tickets, and you've approached me about ticket number 12, and want to know why 1 to 11, which say cannot proceed without certain information, and this ticket is collecting that information. So no, I haven't applied the rest of it because I haven't got the information. I closed nearly 60 tickets today, and I got slightly wound up when my boss wrote to me at about 10 to 4. Can you look at this ticket? It's at 3/4 of its SLA, which means that by end of play tomorrow it'll be dead. Well, it'll be overdue. I'm already working on it, boss. We get 5 days. It was logged Friday night at about 5:30. No, apparently it's... Well, sorry. I think it was Thursday night. That would make sense. Thursday night. But apparently they count the weekend. But we don't work the weekend. It's working days we have an SLA, not physical days, you know? Because otherwise, bank holidays would suck. You get the 3-day weekend, and you come back in, and tickets that they logged after you went home Thursday night. So, especially at Easter, because we get Friday on Easter Sunday, we get the Friday before and the Monday after. So if they logged it at 5:30 on Friday, you come in on the Tuesday, and all your tickets would be dead, and you're like, it's not kind of how it works, you know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I was slightly knocked that Ina was nagging me for it when there are other tickets in the queue belonging to people who haven't done them. And this wasn't even my ticket. Hey, you know, I was actually doing it when he poked me. That's always a good thing. It's one of the things I do like about long cooking food. You can smell it. Now, it works one of two ways, because sometimes if you smell it too long, you're not really in the mood for it by the time it happens. Other times, like bread, by the time it comes out, you inhale it all and wonder where the bread you made went. I don't know if anyone else has that habit with fresh bread. Comes out the oven, you basically slap a packet of butter in it, and when I mean a packet, I'm talking 250 grams of it. You kind of slice it up and put wedges between each of it, a bit like doing garlic bread but on a loaf scale. It is, and it's kind of fatal because, as I say, I tend not to make too much bread, because if I buy a loaf of bread, I will have a couple of, like, you know, standard bread slices. and put some cheese or some meat or whatever in between it, some cold food, whatever I've got, right? And go munch, 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 that was a nice sandwich. If I've just cooked a loaf of bread, I cook the loaf of bread and I literally cut it into slices like this because, well, it's soft and gooey and damn near impossible to cut, and pack it out full of butter while it's still warm from the oven, and then go, ah! And then it's gone. And so the 2 odd hours that you spent making bread is demolished in about 10 minutes, and I'm sitting there going, burp, bread, burp, because it's almost still giving off gas from the yeast. That is right. I love fresh bread. So Mika gets me. Here's a question for you. You're facing the firing squad in the morning, right? And you are given the last rites meal. You can have anything you want. Now, ignoring your any current allergies, disagreements, so lactose intolerant, any of that, can go out the window because, well, you're going to be dead in less than 24 hours. So, you know, let's not worry about that too much. That's a thing for late, you know, it's just not really a big deal. What would you have as your last meal? Bear in mind, you can order like your body weight in cheesecake and, you know, whatever, right? What items would you ask for your last meal? Because it's actually harder than you think. Because you think, oh, of course I have that. You're actually, oh, what about that? Oh, now the answer is, of course, is you don't have to order only that which you're going to eat. You can order some of everything and try and eat as much of it as you like. Because, of course, we don't need to worry about our weight here, all right? Because, again, 24 hours, you're going to be no more. So there are no consequences to your eating, right? And if it's going to kill you, actually, it might be better because you go in your own right. But what would you have? What would you have as your last meal? And you're allowed to be as specific or as vague as you like. So, cheesecake. Well, any cheesecake, that's fine. But maybe you like so-and-so's this flavoured cheesecake. That's also fine. Because sometimes it is a specific thing or a combination of things. Death by after 8 mint, you know. That kind of stuff, you know. I can think of worse ways to go, you know. One of you smells. You're looking shifty. Was it you? Was it you? Miss Paws? Was it you? 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 Did your bottom burpee? Because somebody somewhere has produced noxious fumes and I know it wasn't me. For I am aware of my body. Red bean paste with vanilla ice cream. Can't say I've tried that one. That sounds curious. You clearly have given it a little bit of thought, because that came out quite quick. But yeah, I must admit, I think mine would be much more pudding related. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are many fine savoury dishes. Do not get me wrong. I think if you know, should the firing squad be waiting for me tomorrow morning and my last meal was to be selected, I would probably have an English full breakfast, because that gives you sausages, bacon, mushrooms, tomatoes, beans, black pudding, which sounds really horrendous, and I was really against it for years, but I've eaten it and it's not half as bad as you think, and in fact it's rather nice. So I'd probably have a full English breakfast, and then basically a lot of really rich, decadent cakes. So there would need to be kind of like a couch-sized cheesecake, because I could do a lot of damage to cheesecake. And then pavlova, scones and clotted cream, frankly, basically, as long as it's got sugar in it, I'll probably eat it. But raspberries, fresh, sun-warm raspberries. I can do a lot of damage to a lot of raspberries as well. Yeah. Yeah, I'd want some Yorkshire pudding with me breakfast though. Bit specific, but onion gravy. It's got to have onion gravy with it. For some reason, although you don't normally have gravy with your breakfast, bite me. I fancy really kind of like thick. I mean, like slow moving lava thick gravy on it. None of this brown wee crap. No. It's got to be thick gravy, so it has lots of flavour in it. I want to basically go out still tasting it. That's kind of how I want to go. Yeah. Oh. My chat has disconnected. Oh, there it goes. Back again. For some reason, my OBS lost chat briefly. But yeah. But to be honest, you know, if I was fed pizza and ice cream, or curry, or roast chicken, roast beef, roast lamb, with lots of roast veg, with lots of roast potatoes, and you know, carrots and parsnips, and gravy, decent gravy, treacle sponge. Frankly, I'd not be disappointed with any of those. I really wouldn't. You know, it's not a game to play when you're hungry, for sure. It's like, never go shopping when you're hungry either. Never go food shopping when you're hungry, because then you buy like 38 plates worth of food that you actually didn't need because you were hungry, and your brain went, oh, I could eat that, oh, I could eat that, oh, I could eat that. And you only need, like, you know, a week's worth of food, and you've just bought 6 months worth. And it'll go off if you don't eat it all. So, yeah, never go food shopping when you're hungry. I don't know about you, but one of the things that I struggle with is anything on TV that's about food makes me feel hungry. And funnily enough, really badly, and I do feel bad about this one, watching My £600 Life, anything on about that show just makes me hungry, which of course is not the right answer, because, you know, these poor people have gone about food in a particularly unhealthy way, and all I want to do when I'm watching them, you know, go on diets and moan about how hard it is sit watching eating at them, and it's kind of like, yeah, it's really kind of a bit, you know, I'm glad they can't see me, but, you know, for some reason watching My £600 Life makes me hungry, so, yeah. But watching My £600 Life also reminds me not to ever be that person. To keep doing things and you know, not eating my body weight in cheesecake, no matter how tempting it is. So that I do not find myself as a contestant on the show. Because that would be a little unfortunate. Yeah. Something my dad struggled with, to be honest. So it's slightly genetic, is that he and I both have, well, I have, a very sweet tooth, and could happily sit and eat our way through the cake aisle in the local food store, and not bat an eyelid. You get lots of people going, "Yeah, I couldn't eat much of that, it's far too rich." Yeah, I've never said that. Never said that in my life. Never found anything I couldn't have, you know, if I like it, I like it. It's as simple as that. It's, you know, we both suffered from the ability to eat far too much in the pudding variety. And I think, and that's the thing, you know, you have to kind of say no to yourself. And sometimes that's really hard. And not because I'm not an emotional eater. I'm a boredom eater, for sure. And I know when I'm bored, because I go to the kitchen to get a cup of tea or get a glass of water, and I come back with a plate of food. I wasn't hungry, but there was food, and so I'm eating it. It will pass the time. And I enjoy food, don't get me wrong. So I am very much a boredom eater. Which is why I do weird shit like this, because otherwise I'd probably be sitting playing a game munching on snacks, and I would be a My £600 contestant, or borderline, except obviously we don't have that show here in the UK, but you know, I would, you know, Doctor Now could fly me in, you know. Yeah, I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do this bit, because this bit's a bit fucked up. So the next twiddly thing here in the middle, not my wisest choice. Really is not. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure it fits. We shall see when we get there. We're not far off there, or close to there, because we're getting down the sides. By the time I get down to the side, so I've got a little bit of this to do, and then we will do this bit and see if we can magic up the bit in the middle. Now, yeah, it might do. I have thought of one way of doing it, but I don't think that's going to work. Well, we shall see. We shall see. That I can go down here, but this is the last layer of sanity down this side, and this is where it all could go horribly wrong, because each of these pins has to do something weird and go into the next bit over. We shall see. We shall see. Quite a few bobbins out at the moment. Let's put some away. That sounds like a plan, doesn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's put you away for a second to make a bit more room. You can go all the way over there. I can do a few more of you. Excuse me. Right, now try to there. That's not in the right place. It goes there like that. And we cue around a little bit more. Now, when I get to the end of this little bit of row, we can do the first of the shapes to find out how badly I screwed it up. Because, well, realistically, I screwed it up. But maybe it will be a good screw up and actually it works and looks kind of funky, or it'll be a bad screw up and it'll look really shit. And it is 9 million degrees in here. My hands are... I don't know if anyone else gets this, but when it gets too hot, it feels like my hands are swelling up. Now, I've not got the thinnest hands in living history, but they feel kind of puffy. They're not, I don't think, particularly. I mean, they're not dehydrated and skinny, but I don't think they're any more swollen than they normally are. Right, let's give this a go. Let's see what happens. So, you need to come in and form the one at the top. This is going to be very crowded. You go in there. You then come down there like this. That one. And down like this to that one. The same incredibly clingy method. Like so. And then you come in and join you for that bit. You join these two like that. So let me just check that. No, you work across, that's okay. So you come in and join that bit there like that. And then you come in and join the bit at the bottom. Like that. Well, it may be oval. It might have worked, you know. I need to make the rest of them, of course. But it did kind of fit. Except I've spotted a mistake. I'm gonna fucking hit bollocks. So, let's undo you. I only have to undo a couple of stitches, it's okay. So, undo you. And undo you. Because it wasn't your fault, but I didn't do the closing one on this one. There we go. Now we do you. And put you in there. Like that. Yeah. I've got a feeling it won't work. I've got a feeling that when we come down to here, it's not going to entirely go to plan. And there may be an element of fudging it, shall we call it. Because if you go, when we get your face out of it, you go to there and, yeah, I've got a feeling this won't work. Although it seems to work, I don't think it does. it might. My theory is when it gets to this corner, because that pin feeds that and the one below, that feeds the one up, but they shouldn't be feeding up. That, I think, is where it's wrong. Because even for the next one, you go into there, you go this, you go up. Something's not right. I've got a feeling maybe this just doesn't work, but it seems to on the other side, where it didn't seem so wrong. Let's put it that way. Let's undo this, because let's get all of the surrounding structure in before I try and cram the pattern in. Yeah, that's doesn't fit quite right on that side at least. So either I've screwed something else up, or that doesn't really fit. Let's go back and do this. I'll do this one. Yeah, you see, this goes up, not down, because, well, it kind of goes in between, and the problem with it going in between is that it means I'm kind of short some, but I'm also not. Maybe it's one of those get to the bottom and see what you actually have at the end of it scenarios. But I'm going to undo the actual patterny bit here. Because, well, just because really. I want to get all of the edge bits in, so I don't try and use wrong pairs for things. I've got a feeling this doesn't work at all, which would be slightly annoying. What if I cheated? That doesn't work either. See, this pair naturally hang down on the line that goes down through the little things, but then there isn't a pair at the top. I wonder. I wonder if instead of using the outside pins, I use the oh, shut up! Actual outside pins, made them a bit bigger. Does that work out? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2. No, I don't think it does. Hang on. I need a pokey thing. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2. No, doesn't. I don't know quite what to do now. Well, we knew this was going to be a bit of a run start, but I don't think I can blag it. So if they all go up one, up, and you go up to there, you can come down to there. It might fit, it will just look really wonky. I think it's definitely a get to the bottom and see what happens with it, because this is not looking promising at this point. It was distinctly unpromising. 1, 4, 5, 6, 7. So let us get the sides down. What time is it? 9 o'clock. Let us get the sides down and see what we can do. doing something. It's very quiet. In case you're wondering why I'm laughing, these people are hysterical. Very British, but also very funny. But maybe that's because they're British and so am I, so... shouldn't be watching this. Making me hungry. Tasted like a armband. They're going through pregnancy cravings that people have said they had, and some of them are a bit grosser than others. And at the moment they're about to do brown sauce and donuts. Two perfectly good items, but I can't see them together. I like brown sauce and I'm never going to want to eat it again. Sweaty donuts. Sorry, I'm having to watch this because it is... Sometimes they do... Last time they had they bought 5 nice things, 5 bad things, and they covered their eyes. And so they had to go yes or no, guessed on, like, you know, putting it on the table or whatever. And they were, you know, they could ask a question, but they could only be vague about the answer. And damn it, there was like jellied eels and toothpaste and cat food, and it was... HB sauce and a donut. Oh, bugger me, I would never... No, I can't say that. I've eaten some strange shit in my time, but no, I hadn't gone that far. Bananas and soy sauce. No, that's salt is. I can see the salt, but oh shit. Hey, Amy, shut your face. I'm sorry, I am absolutely captured by this. Hello, Rory. Mummy is watching two nutters eating weird cravings, and some of them I get, like pasta and gravy, absolutely. Don't see a problem with that whatsoever. Soy sauce and banana. Yeah, it's... No, apparently that one's a miss. Apparently that one's not. Tastes like toe. These guys are great. Licked your patio. mouthful of sad by the looks of it. Celery and golden syrup is not. One says it tastes like a toffee apple. The other's got a face like he's licked the dog's butt. So I'm going to go with the dog's butt variety on that one. And nearly with spider's eggs, apparently. I think I'm going to call it quits and watch this shit, because clearly I am not paying attention. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's stick everybody back together. Extra syrup and sprinkles works. Right, let me take a picture. Come on. Yeah. Let's do a big picture of the bobbins. There we go. So yes, I apologise for the last few minutes as I've been captivated by these people eating pregnancy cravings, because it is, I love food shows, and frankly these guys really are funny, so I strongly encourage you to go visit their channel if you have not already. Take care everybody. I shall see you tomorrow.